Playing with time is always fun, and it's especially fun, I think, in Planescape. Jumping can definitely be challenging as a DM, but I think what you have to prepare for is player power creep. The challenges you put before them, they're going to suddenly be able to tackle those a lot easier. And sometimes it requires you getting creative as a DM. I think if you start to feel the battle maybe going in their favor too quickly, maybe that's where waves of reinforcements start coming in. That's where waves of minions start coming in. Don't be afraid to use the environment they're in to your advantage. Maybe things are falling from the ceiling, or they have a limited amount of time to complete this encounter. I think having the difference between beating an encounter and beating it in 3 rounds of combat can sometimes add some difficulty to kind of put in front of your players. I think for players, yeah, sometimes it can be hard to jump to such a high level, especially if you've never played the class before. But something that I've done in my campaigns, and this is definitely easier if you have a smaller table, is that when your players kind of go through this level jump, having a portion of one of your play sessions like focused on each player, like maybe they get to remember a teacher from their past or an NPC from their past and go on like a little quest to like explore your character sheet or your new spells together and design an encounter that their kit is sort of tailored for. It's a little bit extra work to do this, but I feel like it's really worth it because you come out the other end with players who are super confident about their skill set and what they can do in and outside of combat. Some neat encounters to throw at your players as you lead them through their new abilities can even be like mock battles or tournament style stuff. Shout out for Battle for Beyond, where you can actually put them up against characters that are similar to theirs, but maybe different. And that way you as the DM can showcase what they do for them. That's something that's fun to do. Or any type of like competitive thing, because that also allows the characters to understand like what they're good at versus each other. So any type of like acrobatics or Olympic style games that you want to put together, I feel like that is usually another good place for people to kind of get creative. From the bestiary, I think the thing I'm most excited for is actually the time dragons. They seem like they're a lot of fun, and their layer actions, if you go in there, gives you lots of juicy like role play ways to mess with your players, and that's the playground I thrive in. You can do so much cool wibbly wobbly timey wimey stuff by like having your players advance around, having your players like move slowly. You can manipulate time around them, make them experience reality differently. You can exist as 2 versions of yourself as once while you're playing the time dragon. And so I think they're so much fun. And they're a great almost traveling companion for your party, because when they're friendly with creatures, they can open up gates to other realities and times. And I think this is really good, juicy stuff, especially if you want to dive into like a character's backstory or a player's backstory, or like their personal nexus moment, their Into the Spider-Verse moment, the moment that changed them and defined them. Now, maybe you can befriend a dragon and go to that character's, childhood when their father died and try to like make that not happen. And maybe that has untold consequences for the future. Like playing with time is always fun, and it's especially fun, I think, in Planescape. If I was subject to a multiversal glitch and there were 3 incarnations of me, I think hailing back to like my real life job that I had for a long time, I think all 3 of them would be like shopkeepers or merchants, but each of them would sell something very different and weird, and it would all be different facets of my personality. Like one would sell carnivorous plants, maybe, and one would sell like probably cursed items, but it's like really like small inconvenient curses. Like every time you eat, it drips onto your clothes and like stains it, stuff like that. And then I think probably the third one would be like, some like a merchant of potions and paltry items. But I think there would be 2 other ones that were like more niche. I think my Nexus feature would be that every incarnation of me is still an artificer, and they still specialize in making magic items, but it just depends on whether those items help or hinder.